The movie opens with 4 friends, Ilyada, Cenk, Batuhan, and Acha, celebrating the end of the exams at Ilyada's place. They all sit down to watch a horror movie, but no one enjoys it, and they start blaming Cenk since he was the one who picked it. Ilyada brings out a spirit board and says she found it while cleaning the basement. She opens a book and explains that she's read through it. It's filled with strange symbols, rituals, and other things, and she thinks it might be a seance guide. She explains it's written in Mongolian Altaic, with the last chapter describing a ruthless warrior and mostly gibberish. After setting up for the ritual, Ilyada instructs everyone to place their fingers on the triangle and not to lift them until the session is over. She then begins chanting a spell to summon the spirit, and at first nothing happens, but when she repeats the incantation and asks the spirit for a sign of its presence, the table suddenly jerks, and moments later, household items begin falling one by one. Ilyada warns them not to remove their fingers, then asks the spirit if it has arrived, and in response, the door slides open by itself, and the triangle moves to yes. Ilyada then asks the spirit how it wants to be addressed, and the triangle slowly spells out the word Biaz. Suddenly, the house lights start flickering, and something shatters behind them, causing panic to ripple through the group. Batuhan pulls his finger away and accuses Ilyada of playing a trick, but she angrily tells him they were about to send the spirit back. Just as he stands up, a chair slides, making everyone jump to their feet in fear. Ilyada and Batuhan leave to check the fuse, and just as lightning flashes outside, Acha grabs Cenk's hand in fear. After a while, the lights come back on, and Batuhan tells them they fixed the fuse. Acha says she's not in a good mood, so she is leaving, and Batuhan and Cenk follow after her. Later, Ilyada pours herself a glass of milk, but as she takes a sip, it turns into blood in her mouth. Horrified, she spits it out, only to find that the milk in the sink and the glass are still perfectly normal. The next day, a man suddenly appears and attacks Ilyada, wrapping his hands around her neck, but he vanishes as mysteriously as he had appeared. Later, she places the spirit board in her locker at school, when suddenly, Acha scares the hell out of her. Later, while in the bathroom, a door suddenly slams shut, and the lights begin to flicker. Frightened, Acha cautiously walks over to check it out, but just as she opens the door, 2 other girls enter the bathroom, and the lights return to normal. Acha is relieved to find no one inside. However, as she heads back, she freezes in horror at the sight of a symbol drawn on the mirror. Later, at the university radio station, Ilyada receives a call, but there's only a strange, static-filled noise on the other end. After a brief pause, a ghostly voice whispers the name Biaz. Suddenly, bizarre and blurry footage starts playing across her computer screen as the voice continues to echo the name, and then a terrifying face flashes on the monitor, prompting Ilyada to quickly flee the station in fear. Meanwhile, Cenk is still visibly shaken by what happened the night before, but Batuhan teases him, saying Ilyada got them, and does he really believe all that? He then offers to get him some coffee, joking that it might open his mind a little. After Batuhan leaves, Cenk returns to his work, but a sudden noise startles him, and he sees that a tool has fallen to the floor. He nervously picks it up and places it back on the table, only for a pair of scissors to fall next. Unsettled, he cautiously picks them up and returns to their place. But moments later, a tray crashes to the ground on its own. Just then, Batuhan returns and asks what happened, to which Cenk says the objects fell on their own, but Batuhan says he likely knocked them over without noticing. Suddenly, a table flips over by itself, and the TV screens in the room display a symbol. Both men freeze, staring in shock as the reality of something unexplainable begins to set in. That night, Ilyada thanks Acha for coming and opens up about what she experienced during the broadcast. Acha, however, thinks it was just the stress of exam week. When Ilyada brings up what happened in the restroom, Acha says she believes they simply got carried away and were influenced by the play. Ilyada admits she still doesn't understand what they went through, but Acha insists it was all just a result of sleep deprivation. Ilyada says she's going to sleep, to which Acha replies that she'll stay up and work a little longer. After Ilyada leaves, Acha gets up to retrieve something from her bag, but when she returns, She's shocked to find that a strange symbol has been drawn on her notebook. She quickly flips through the pages, and just then, the lights begin to flicker. But after a few tense moments, they return to normal, and when Acha picks up the notebook again, the symbol has mysteriously vanished. Acha heads to the bathroom to calm herself, but to her horror, she sees the reflection of a mysterious figure silently walking out of the bathroom, and as she turns around, the bathroom door slowly swings shut on its own. Heart pounding, Acha cautiously approaches the door, and as she opens it, she is startled by Iyenin, who says she brought towels in case she wanted to take a shower. Meanwhile, Batuhan is alone in the lab when the lights begin to flicker, and in the very next moment, he suddenly finds himself strapped to a table. After a moment, a dark entity slowly approaches him and begins pulling out his teeth, but suddenly, Cenk shakes him awake, and Batuhan tells him that they are in serious trouble. Cenk asks what he was seeing, but Batuhan reaches into his mouth and pulls out a broken tooth. Meanwhile, Iyenin is sleeping at home when the dark entity approaches and leans over her, but the alarm suddenly goes off, jolting both Iyenin and Acha awake. The next morning, Iyenin gets a call from the security company, who say there was an issue last night. She puts the call on speaker, explaining they were scared and don't want a repeat. The agent says all 8 sensors were triggered simultaneously at 3:45 a.m., which shouldn't be possible, indicating a device malfunction, so they'll replace the system free of charge. At school, Batuhan admits he saw Biaz, and Iyenin mentions getting a strange call during her broadcast, an inhuman voice speaking an unknown language, ending with the word Biaz. Acha adds she heard a voice in the restroom and saw a symbol in the mirror, which Cenk says matched one they found in the dental lab. Acha suggests sticking together, but Batuhan warns that's exactly what Biaz wants. And that is when he is going to do what he is going to do. Iyenin insists they stay in touch and alert each other if anything happens. Later, during her research, Acha finds the symbol in a book describing the black eyes, evil spirits from Anatolian and Central Asian myth. They feed on fear, causing vivid hallucinations and blurring the line between dream and reality. Over time, victims lose their grip on the real world, trapped in endless nightmares. The more fear the black eyes consume, the stronger they become, even capable of causing physical harm. As she closes the book, Acha realizes she's alone in the library. Nervously, she calls out, "Is anybody there?" And just then, Biaz silently passes behind her. Acha rushes downstairs, trying to get out of the school, but the hallway lights begin to flicker ominously. And when she turns around, she's horrified to see Biaz standing there. Panic-stricken, she turns and runs, but after a few steps, she trips and falls. As she scrambles to get up, Biaz follows her, grabs her leg, and starts dragging her across the floor, while Acha screams desperately for help.
You're still watching? Good. Like, comment and subscribe to Recapss Horror.
The next day, when the others arrive at school, they are shocked and devastated to see that Acha is dead. Later, Batuhan tells them that the police may call them in to give a statement. Cenk says the police will hold them responsible for Acha's death and insists they should tell them everything that happened. But Batuhan asks who's going to believe them? In frustration, the two start arguing, prompting Iyenin to stop them, reminding them that Acha is dead. Cenk suddenly notices the symbol on their necks and then asks her to look at his. They find the symbol on him as well, and Iyenin says, "Biaz did this, and he's going to kill us all." They find the book explaining that the symbol marks victims of the black eye. It feeds on fear, starting with mild scares that lead to hallucinations and behavioral changes. Once fear peaks, the victim becomes bound to the entity. After the mark appears on the body, its attacks intensify, and within 2 to 3 sunsets, the victim dies. According to the legend, rooted in the Orcan inscriptions, once the mark is visible, it's already too late to save them. She reads further and learns that, according to legend, ancient shamans once battled the black eye, and in rare cases, succeeded. This means if they can find a shaman, they might still have a chance. Iyenin searches online and finds an article. Batuhan notes it's the same symbol Biaz marked them with and asks if it's her house. Iyenin reads that there was a massacre there years ago, and Cenk adds that 3 girls were attacked during a ritual, and only 1 survived. Iyenin searches for Zeynep, the sole survivor, and finds a 5-year-old article about a spiritualist named Zeynep who performed purification and protection rituals against evil spirits. Another article reveals that she was detained after complaints about one of her rituals. Following a lengthy interrogation, she was declared mentally unstable and transferred to a psychiatric hospital. The 3 visit Zeynep at the hospital, and she warns them that some people are so evil. Even the earth rejects their bodies, and the afterlife refuses their souls. Trapped in limbo, these spirits crave blood and haunt the living. When Iyenin asks what she means, Zeynep says Biaz is the strongest spirit they'll ever encounter, and while others play and leave, Biaz demands blood. She tells them Biaz was a bloodthirsty Mongol prince obsessed with forbidden dark arts. Taught by a master of black magic, he slaughtered innocents, drank their blood, and built towers from their burned corpses. Cursed for his cruelty, no land accepted him in death, so trapped in limbo, he continued what he did best, practicing dark magic and killing. Cenk asks how she survived, and she replies, "Do I look like a survivor to you?" She says, Biaz took a huge part of her. He slaughtered her cousins before her eyes, then strangled her until her heart stopped. She was declared dead until they revived her. Though she came back to life, part of her is still dead. She says they might have a chance if they perform a return ritual. She explains that to send Biaz back, they must revoke his invitation. Then, pulling a dagger from her bag, she explains they can combine their energies and use it to banish him. Though Biaz will try to hurt them, the dagger offers protection. But she warns, no matter what they hear or see, they must not leave the ritual. She also warns them not to use the house anymore, and tells them to choose a crowded place filled with people, because evil spirits can haunt places, but human presence can hold them back. Lastly, she tells them that long ago, their shaman ancestors fought dark spirits and were protected by this talisman. She hands it to Iyenin, saying it came from Biaz, and maybe it will protect them. Once outside, Batuhan tells Cenk to take Iyenin to Issa's house while he talks to the school security guard, because if they can get the library open, they might be able to solve this. Later, in the school parking lot, he's stunned to see Acha there. In disbelief, he runs after her, calling out her name and embracing her, asking how she's still alive. But just then, he hears a sudden noise, and when he turns to look, a car slams into him. Meanwhile, Cenk tries calling Batuhan, but he doesn't pick up, and Cenk says the security guard said they have to leave within an hour. Just then, he gets a call from an unknown number, and they're hit with devastating news that Batuhan is dead. Undeterred, they decide to begin the ritual, and Iyenin firmly declares that they are withdrawing their invitation. After a moment, the lights begin to flicker, and one by one, books start falling from the shelves. Cenk grows increasingly terrified, but Iyenin tells him to look at her and not pull his hand away. She continues the ritual, commanding Biaz to return to the dark world. Suddenly, Batuhan appears and says, "You always made fun of me, so you're a monster too." But Iyenin pushes on, refusing to stop. Then Acha appears and tells Cenk that all he cares about is saving himself. But Iyenin reminds him, they're not real, and Biaz is just playing tricks on them. Together, they continue the ritual, chanting for Biaz to leave. And after a tense moment, the flickering stops, and the silence returns. They release their hands from the planchette, and Iyenin asks Cenk to check her neck. He tells her the symbol is gone, and she finds that his mark has disappeared as well. Realizing it's finally over, they collapse into each other's arms. As they're coming downstairs, Cenk checks his pocket and realizes he left his phone upstairs. He heads back to the library to retrieve it, and as he picks it up, the lights in the library begin to flicker. Meanwhile, Iyenin feels an itch on her neck, and realizing the symbol has returned, she rushes back upstairs. Cenk pulls out the dagger, preparing to confront Biaz, but Biaz suddenly appears behind him and twists his neck, killing him instantly. When Iyenin arrives, she finds Cenk's lifeless body on the floor. Shocked and heartbroken, she drops to her knees, mourning his death. But before she can gather herself, The lights begin to flicker once again. She reaches out for the dagger, but it suddenly slides out of her reach. And this time, Iyenin comes face to face with Biaz for the first time. Panic sets in as she quickly rushes downstairs to escape, but suddenly, she falls. Biaz approaches and tries to drag her away, but she fights back, manages to break free, and runs. She locks herself inside the dental lab, but Biaz attacks her and lifts her into the air. She struggles desperately to escape, and after a tense moment, the screen fades to black. Next, we see paramedics trying to revive her by giving her shock, and after a few attempts, she comes back to life. A few months later, two friends visit her with the spirit board and tell her they need her help, and the movie ends there.